Hello and welcome back to the Girl Fit Method podcast. Super excited for today's conversation because I am joined by not just one, but two incredible guests. So we have Coach Vanessa here and we have our incredible client, Dianna. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Glad to be here.
It's so good to have you both on here. I don't feel like we've had Vanessa, we haven't had a podcast together in so long. I was thinking that the other day. So I need to get you back on. I need to come on more, but you actually have been traveling. Haha, haven't you? You've had lots on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited to be back and feels like home coming back. So I'm really, really excited.
It is. It's like the fam's back together. And Dianna, you have been on the podcast once or twice now?
Twice. This is my third time.
Whew. So she's just a part of the furniture at this point. But this conversation, we really want to talk about, it's going to be really interesting because currently at the moment, if you haven't listened to Dianna's previous podcast episodes, she's lost a huge amount of weight. What are we sitting at the moment? Was it 60?
It was 75 pounds.
Oh, it's unbelievable. So really, really incredible. We talk about the transformation. Like that has been a transformation. In this season of coaching with Vanessa, Dianna's currently going through a reverse diet, and we were just chatting about how taxing that is mentally and how difficult it is. We thought what a really great opportunity to be able to discuss that in more detail. And from the coach's perspective, Vanessa to sort of talk about how she guides her clients through and coaches them through this period. And then also Dianna, like the fears that you're feeling and how uncomfortable you're feeling and how you're navigating those fears currently. So I'm really excited for this conversation. I guess I want to kick things off first with you, Coach Vanessa. As a coach, with Dianna's lost a huge amount of weight. You've done a phenomenal job in doing that. We talk all the time about phasing our nutrition. So from the coach's perspective, I guess, how do you know when somebody is ready to come out of a calorie deficit, even if they haven't reached their end goal, and put them into something like a reverse diet?
Yeah, absolutely. Such a good question, because I think a lot of people get nervous when they are not at their goal yet. And it's like, okay, well, I still have this weight to lose that I want to lose, or this fat that I want to lose, and my calorie deficit is working. Like, why should I stop? Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? So for me as the coach, and what I do with a lot of my clients, and Dianna included, I'm like, hey, as a coach, I know things are down regulating. Even if you don't necessarily feel like, you're getting negative biofeedback, things are still down regulating, whether or not you're aware of it, like your energy, like your metabolism, like your training. So for Dianna specifically, when she had been dieting for about 6 months, I'm like, hey, like we need to look at going through a reverse diet. And yes, I know we still have, physique goals, fat loss goals. However, from a perspective of your metabolism, but also your mental and physical health long term, we do need to periodize that nutrition, like you said, and bring calories up for a certain period of time to kind of bring things back to baseline, or a more, happy place, quote unquote, for your body.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pivotal throughout that process, because with Dianna, she's not at her end goal yet, wanting to achieve whatever it is, whether it's a certain amount of weight loss or a look that she's wanting to achieve. I think what can be really difficult is sometimes we can view it, from your perspective, Coach Vanessa, you can kind of zoom out and look at the big picture and look at the end goal and how Dianna, and sort of reverse engineer from that and figure out, okay, what is the process we need to take in order to achieve that end goal? When you're in it, and I'm going to hand over to you in a moment, Dianna, it's like your focus is on this end goal and wanting to achieve this end goal. And then sometimes taking a step back from what's getting you, in particular, that weight loss, can feel incredibly uncomfortable because you haven't arrived at that end destination yet. And it's easy to forget that this is actually all a part of getting you to that end goal. So I want to throw it over to you and say, how are you feeling? But I think let's break that down, because you're probably feeling lots of things. So what I want you to kind of just maybe discuss is, like, you've come from a history of trying extremes to lose weight. Now we've taken the correct approach, which is also the longer approach as well. With where you're at the moment, initially when you knew you had to go into a reverse diet, what was your initial feeling towards that?
I laugh before I answer. I knew that it would be uncomfortable. I think already my first thought, I'm a year and a half into this process, and the deafening fear of knowing how far I've come and how many times I've never come this far, but how many times I've come close to this far and then lost it and gained the weight back. So to lose the 75 pounds and then knowing that I have to put some on, really what helped me was understanding the science behind it, that it wasn't going to be fat that I'm gaining as I'm gaining weight, but also Vanessa set really real expectations that the scale would move, and recommended I put away the scale, that I look more at progress pictures and how I'm feeling, like the biofeedback, how much stronger I'm feeling in the gym. And writing those moments, the text messages I sent her, like, I think the Hulk came to the gym today because I felt so good with the extra food.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I love that. I'm going to hand over to you, Vanessa, because I got a question. So you've got someone that's like, I guess still seeing results. However, you need to have that conversation with them. That's like, hold on, we need to take a step back from being in a deficit and we need to start looking at increasing your calories. How do you sell that to Dianna, essentially? Because you've got to. How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question too. Yeah, for sure. And something with Dianna too is she's had an incredible transformation. I tell her that all the time. And I'm a very small part of that transformation. I tell her that all the time. Like, I give you the plan, it's up to you to execute it, right? And you do to such a high level. And something where she had mentioned, like, I've never come this far. And something I always tell her is like, you didn't come this far only to come this far. So being able to look at the reverse diet as like, this is part of your journey and it's a necessary one. And in terms of like how I kind of have somebody buy in, I'm like, do you want to rent your results or do you want to keep them? Because, if you end up trying to stay in this deficit, sure, it's working now. Sure, it's working in 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, whatever. You're going to hit a wall and you're going to hit this point where it's not working anymore. And we'd so much rather stop and reverse a little bit before we hit that wall, because that way you're almost like burning a candle when you're dieting, and you don't want to burn your candlestick all the way down before you get to your end goal. And basically when you're able to reverse diet, you're kind of like putting wax back on that candlestick, if you will. So that's kind of how I go about those types of situations and those types of feelings with a client. But I also understand, right? Like, I know it's a challenging process, and that's why I provide the level of support that I do to my clients, or I hope to, because I know it's hard. And I know I'm asking a lot of somebody, especially if they have experienced like yo-yo dieting or, just negative relationship with food or negative relationship with dieting or whatever it is. And understanding that like I'm in your corner, but I'm also here to not only get you to your results, but help you outside of that as well.
Oh, I was going to touch on something you said, and that was, do you want to rent your results or keep them?
Mm-hmm.
That is such a good line, because that is exactly correct. It's so easy to get weight loss results. People think it's hard. It's actually not hard. It's so simple. It is so simple. But if it's not done the right way, they're temporary results and you don't have them forever. I really love that. I think that way of explaining it can then logically for the other person go, oh, okay, well, that kind of makes sense. But the hard thing is we've got that logical brain, then we've got that emotional brain. And that's where we get a little bit stuck, because sometimes what we allow is these emotions that we have or irrational fears that we have take over and dictate to us the decisions that we make and whether we do want to step into the uncomfortable. And Dianna, I guess that's where you're at the moment. You've been really open with us about how you've struggled lately with this concept of eating more and feeling uncomfortable in yourself because you don't feel like you're at that end goal. Let's talk about that. How are you feeling?
So I'm okay. but I have my moments. The helpful thing for me is that I'm really into the science of this. So that's been helpful for me. So just understanding I was to the point of burnout in my last deficit. I mean, I was texting Vanessa. I was like, I can't stop thinking about food. My hair is falling out. I'm tired. Like, I'm taking midday naps. So my body was telling me that it was time to eat more. So I had that little extra of help, and then understanding the science of the benefits of a reverse diet were helpful. But I mean, I can't sugarcoat it either. It's, you know, it's July, so it's summer here in the States, and I wanted a hot girl summer. And back in May, I was wearing crop tops, and now I'm self-conscious about wearing crop tops. I ordered a whole bunch of bathing suits because I was ready for hot girl summer, and now I'm a little uncomfortable. You know, it's coming in phases, and I'm taking the small wins. So I know that part of the science of a reverse diet is fueling my body to gain more muscle, so then I can eat more once I get to my goal and my maintenance. And so I try to help myself by spending lots of time in the gym mirrors and flexing. So it's not easy. I'm definitely in my head. You know, I'm wearing shorts. I wore a bra for the first time ever to the gym to like work out. I wear a bra all the time. Let me clarify. Sorry.
I know.
But like to work out, right?
Team no bra over here.
Yeah. So it's a lot. And then trying to figure out what works, even with the extra calories. I had been eating chicken for so long, and like the fear of going to buy red meat or potatoes, or even I'm in a situation literally today, I have so many extra calories left over. I'm like, okay, do I have a bag of chips, or is that going to send me into a spiral, and then I'm going to go for chocolate and ice cream and whatever else? And it's a constant reminder of short-term sacrifices for a long-term goal, but it's always there, right? Like the thoughts don't go away.
Thanks for sharing that. Just as you were mentioning that last point there, you were talking about, you know, whether is it essentially going to trigger you to go and overeat. It's so interesting because humans, and maybe not everyone, I'm maybe a lot of the women that we work with, I can resonate with this. Obviously you can, Dianna, and maybe you, Vanessa, as well. It's almost like we're off or we're on, right? So in a calorie deficit, we've got this structure where we know we're motivated to continue on because we're seeing visual changes. And so we can forbid all of those kinds of foods, or we can really stick to under consuming because we have a purpose behind that. When we then relax and allow ourselves to include maybe foods that we have deemed as off limits during this reverse diet, isn't it funny how we can then be triggered into just going all in, you know, instead of understanding actually the calorie deficit way of living is the temporary way of living. And that should almost feel more difficult. What should feel easier is balance, and including foods into our life that we enjoy, that are more calorie dense, or just more variety. But it's kind of the opposite way for women. And I would say that's because most women are always trying to diet. So that kind of feels familiar in a way, and we feel comfortable with that. But when we start to think about having more balance in our life, that can almost feel like we're doing the wrong thing because we're not dieting, when in fact it's not. It's what we should be doing the majority of the time. Vanessa, from your perspective as well, I guess like we've all been through reverse diets, and as you're talking, Dianna, I just want to like empathize with you because I know exactly how all of that feels. It feels so uncomfortable. It feels so counterintuitive to eat more. Even now, I would say, and Coach Vanessa, you would say the same as well. When you start to increase your calories, even we feel uncomfortable. You have those thoughts of like, should I be eating this? What's this going to do, this extra food? Like, will I gain weight? and the still voices that you need to kind of silence and question. I guess, like, from your own perspective, Coach Vanessa, drawing back on your own experience with your clients and like with Dianna at the moment, how have you helped her? I know you kind of talked about how you would I guess like suggest a reverse diet to someone, but through a client's process and through their coaching with you in a reverse diet, what have you found to be really helpful to encourage them to maybe question those negative thoughts that they're having?
Yeah, for sure. There's a few things actually. And I wanted to touch on something super quick that you had said with the calorie deficit and like living in the deficit and having that routine. I think a lot of people will start reverse dieting and they feel like they're slipping this discipline that they have. They feel like they're slipping into like lack of discipline. And something I explained to my clients and like for myself that I used a lot too was like true discipline comes from doing things you don't want to do. And a lot of times that's reverse dieting and just like going through and increasing calories. So for me, showing my clients like, hey, true discipline, true self-love, like all of these things that you're looking for, it's going to come on the other side of this reverse diet. And the way that I support my clients through it, like I have clients that I talk to every single day. I have clients that talk to me frequently if they need that support. And just, it feels so nice to have somebody holding you accountable and just hearing you out and like validating your concerns and also speaking on the science of it and showing somebody like Dianna that's really into the science, being like, hey, we're not just increasing your calories like willy-nilly, like there is science backing this and there is a purpose to what we're doing, but also really shifting focus, like we kind of talked about earlier, in terms of shifting your focus just even outside of your body, in terms of letting your body image day, whether it's good or bad, determine your whole day, and really approaching it more so from like a body neutrality standpoint. This is definitely something I've taken upon myself and a lot of clients, in terms of instead of riding the highs and lows of body image, just being neutral and really trying to shift focus in general within reverse dieting and seeing all of the other aspects of your life that improve so much. So for myself as clients, doing, reverse dieting improves your relationship, it improves your training, it improves your friendships, it improves the mental energy you have for things like work or whatever it is. And I think being able to see the weight gain as just such a small, I don't even want to say con to so many benefits of reverse dieting, and just seeing that longer term picture and just being there for somebody, honestly, is what I'm going to say, because I think just having somebody to hear you and having somebody support you is truthfully, I think, helpful in all aspects of life, but especially with reverse dieting.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And it's almost like you need that person to just reinforce why you're doing it, because we talk ourselves out of it. We go, do I really need to do this? Like, this is too uncomfortable. And if you've got that person going, hold on, remember your why, then that's really, really helpful. I love that, Coach Vanessa. There's some like really incredible points. Dianna, from your perspective at the moment, what is helping you on your days where you're feeling like you don't want to do this, or you're having really bad body image days? What helps you? Or maybe like, how do you just survive them? Maybe nothing really helps you, but how do you kind of get through them?
I think the biggest thing is seeing my journey and recognizing it as a journey. I never thought that I would be a year and a half in and still going through this. So I have those negative thoughts pop into my head, like, how did I let things get so bad with my health and my weight that now it's taking this long to fix it and I'm still not done? On the negative body image days, really, it's funny because I know we shouldn't compare, but I look back at pictures of where I was a year ago. I think back to the person I was a year ago. I think back to even my behaviors. I'm single, so like even dating is so different now than it was before, because of the confidence that I've gained, sure, superficially, but then even the hard work that it's taken for me to get this far. That's something to be so damn proud of. And because of that, like, I can look at it holistically, that I can do anything. Like, this is, I've never met anyone that has taken steps to advance their health that hasn't then taken steps to advance other parts of their life. And that's what I've done. So I'm getting my personal training license. Like, who would have thought that I would be doing that? I am upholding myself to a higher standard with the people that I'm allowing into my life. I have a better relationship with my friends and family. So it's really remembering my why. So to consolidate my answer, remembering my why, knowing that this is temporary and there is an end goal in mind that I am crushing the progress on, and remembering like where I started, because I started this journey for a reason. So that's probably the biggest one, is I started my health journey for a reason. And on the bad days, I'm like, are they really bad? Because I've come so far already. And I've learned so much in the process.
It's really just it's essentially affirmations, isn't it? It's being grateful and actually affirming yourself and how far you've come, and understanding that this is all really a part of the process. But that can be really difficult. It can be really hard on the days where, especially the bad body image days, because we get into this negative mindset where you can go, well, there's nothing good to kind of celebrate, but you've got to be disciplined in having those, and even writing them down and having them visibly somewhere as well, to remind yourself of how far you have come. And you're right, Dianna, like, you've made massive changes and it's bled over into all aspects and areas of your life tremendously, which then, in fact, once that happens and you start to up level other areas of your life as well, why would you want to set yourself back physically? You're a new person, you've evolved, and this is your new identity. You're not going to go back into old habits. And old habits feel familiar. They're really easy. They're easy. Talk about the easy option and the hard option. And, even if we think about an addict, which is an extreme example, but if someone wants to get clean, if they are addicted to something, so maybe let's just say alcohol, then continuing to drink alcohol is the easy option. Super duper easy, and that person can make any kind of I'm trying to think of the word, it's just escaped my brain, any kind of excuses to continue on with that behavior, right? You can justify everything. But in order for that person to want to up level other aspects of their life and change their life, and I use addiction, but to be completely honest with you, someone that is addicted to getting skinnier or eating less or looking a certain way is in some way an addiction. To exercise, to dieting, then doing what feels familiar is easy. But where is that going to get you? It's going to get you nowhere. It's going to get you exactly where you are now, right? Like, or where you were when you were super unhappy. And you made that promise to yourself, Dianna, that you are not going to do that and you're going to do the hard thing. And that's paying off. It's paying off in the fact that you've kept this weight off for such a long period of time, but then it's also positively impacted all these other aspects of your life. And that's what you need to remind yourself of, which is what you do, that you don't ever want to go back to who you were, because you're a new version of yourself right now. And I really want to commend you, because I know it's not easy. And the psychological aspect of things is very, very difficult, because what you're doing is redefining who you are. Who you were prior was the person that lost weight really quick and didn't keep it on for very long. And you were in that cycle, but you're redefining that. But it's foreign territory. Yeah, this is a brand new experience. And so we don't have confidence going into it because we've never really seen that it's worked prior. And so you're kind of reinventing yourself. And I think having that accountability coach, Vanessa, there to reinforce that to Dianna, to support her, is really pivotal, because it's much easier to go back into old habits unless you have that support and those people around you to really provide you with reminders and just reinforce why you're doing what you're doing. All right. So to finish off this podcast episode, I'm actually so excited, by the way, as we're talking, both of you, I'm just like, I have, I'm just so thankful. Coach Vanessa's just so absolutely incredible, coming up with gems. I'm so thankful, Dianna, that you're being so vulnerable, because I know this isn't an easy conversation to have, but I'm just thinking about all the girls listening right now that are you, Dianna, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. So I'm so excited. Anyway, I've got to contain my excitement. Before we go, Coach Vanessa and Coach Dianna, I want you both to give sort of like 3 tips to the listeners from your perspective, Coach Vanessa, as a coach. If someone is going through this process, what's some advice that you can give them? 3 pieces of advice that's going to help them sort of get through this reverse dieting process or this weight gain process as easy as possible.
For sure. And something I wanted to say just before I get into it, like, Dianna, I am so proud of you. And like, I know that you know that, but I think something that we've talked about with you and your journey too, is just like, you're never going to go back to that person that you were, because you're a different person now. Not because of your physique, not because of your weight loss, not because of any of that stuff, but the way that you carry yourself is extremely different. And it's just been so rewarding to see. I've been coaching you for quite some time now, and it's even just since we started together, it's been incredible. So just wanted to say that. But advice. So advice that I would give somebody going through a reverse diet or trying to go through it is, wow, I would say remember your why and why you want to go through this. Very rarely does somebody want to go through a reverse diet because they want to change their physique. Sure, that's some people, but most people want to change their life. They want to change something about their life that they're not happy in, whether it's the relationships or the way they look at food or whatever that is. And remembering your why, having a strong support system is so important, whether it's a coach, whether it's friends, a boyfriend, your family, having people to lean on, because it's a hard process. And there's no other way to put that. It's a hard process, but it's a very rewarding process. And it is the most worth it thing you can do if you can go through with it. And following through on those promises that you make to yourself, it's truly so worth it. And being able to understand it's a temporary phase, but it's also a phase that can be fallen in love with, for sure. And those are my kind of pieces of advice.
Love those. Absolutely love those. Dianna, from your perspective.
So I would say the biggest thing that's helped me is to educate yourself. So listen to your coach, listen to the Girl Fit Method podcast, listen to Vanessa's podcast with her sister, look up other podcasts, educate yourself on this process. The process exists for a reason. It is scientific. The girls are not just telling you to do something that they've made up. This is tried and true, and it works. The second thing is enjoy the process. I literally texted Vanessa today and I said, oh my gosh, I had orange juice and bananas today. And those, shocker, right? But, and it sounds so funny because it's not a big deal. And it's not that they're a huge amount of calories. It's not like I'm eating donuts or cookies. Orange juice and bananas is what I was excited about. But those were things that in a deficit, I wasn't allowing myself to have because they are either calorie dense for the banana or they're like, I'm drinking calories, right? So the absolute excitement that I have of enjoying the process of this reverse diet, not having to eat chicken every day. And a third piece of advice, I feel like Vanessa said it, like remembering your why and, remembering that this is temporary. To lose 75 pounds and now in 7 weeks, I've gained 9 in my reverse diet. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. But it's for a reason. It's for a reason. And I didn't come this far just to get this far.
Amen. And let's be real. Weight gain is a real thing when it comes to reverse dieting. It is a real thing. So if someone's out there and they're experiencing that too, yes, it is real and it's a part of the process. And I love all of those points. I want to finish off by saying the way that I sometimes like to handle hard things that I feel very uncomfortable with, where my little brain's telling me to run back to what feels comfortable, is I become like, excuse my French, I become a bit of an asshole. That's how I try and think about it. I'm going to be like a little rebellious little brat. And in that, what I mean is I just go like, there is no way I'm going to let my brain bully me into going back to what I want to do. In fact, I'm going to stand my ground, stomp my feet. I just think about a little toddler that's being naughty. And I go, no way. I'm going to be super stubborn here. And I'm going to stick to what I know is going to work. Don't fall back into old habits and see those negative thoughts or the fear in your brain as the enemy, as the thing that's trying to take you down and not allow you to be all that you can be. You've got to be rebellious against that. And then over time, it's kind of like a callus, right? You just build up that resilience where you'll get those thoughts. And maybe, I think about my own journey, and maybe for you, Coach Vanessa, and for you, Dianna, at the beginning, it was harder. It's always harder because you've not experienced that before. But when the more reverse diets you do, the more cycles with your nutrition, it becomes easier each time because you're like, aha, okay, I remember feeling these thoughts. This is not going to last forever. This is all a part of the process. And it does become easier over time. Massive thank you to both of you for jumping on. I love you both dearly, as you know, both incredible. And I'm really thankful that you came on to have this conversation because I know it's going to help so many people.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm always happy to talk, and I appreciate both of your time as always.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.